Hi, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. I think we start out the week, but possibly have a snow day. Now, no snow days. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna look on Sunday. It's gonna snow on Wednesday and Thursday. Who knows? Who knows? I guess we'll find out. Here's your calendar. Kind of everything's kind of coming up. We're ahead, which is a good thing. Okay. So hopefully you've gotten your chapter 1 homework done. I kind of put off a little bit. We've already gone through chapter 2. It's coming up this Sunday. And then of course, after that, we're already started chapter 3. I'm gonna go back through all of 3.1 today. Because 3.1 still has some very foundational things in it. And also, hopefully you've had a chance to get your calculators. You can, it's really ugly. You can get by with a scientific calculator for at least 3.1, pretty much through 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. It does make it hard. I'm not gonna lie. It makes it real. It's gonna make it overly hard for you. Okay. All lectures have been posted. If you don't choose to watch the whole lecture, if you look beneath it, there's pictures, so you can click to a specific part. Okay, and you can go to there. I've also put down some TI 83 and TI 84 instructions on the week 2 lectures. Today we've got the dot cam working, so I'll be using my calculator. So you can see me using mine here in a little bit. The TI 83 and 84 for what we're doing right now work exactly the same. Okay, there's no difference in how they work. Later on, there'll be a difference. Whenever we get to like chapter 6 or chapter 7, there's some differences built in. And I'll be honest, I tend to show the TI 83 way. Okay, my videos show the TI 84 way, but then in class, I'll show you the TI 83. It's a little small quirk, and I actually found it out late in the semester. Okay, last semester, when I was doing stuff on my calculator, and I kind of got this glazed look from students. And they realized their calculator couldn't do what mine did. And first off, they thought it was very unfair. But so if you have a TI 84 plus, congratulations, your life's going to be super easy. If you got the TI 83, no worries. It's just one little kind of, oh, I can't do that on mine, do this. Still a button. It's just a remember thing. So not a big deal. So far, so good? Everybody doing good so far? Kind of understanding stuff? Yes. Let's jump in. Give me a second here. See if I'm turned on. Remember, if you ever have any troubles, please email me. Okay. The best and worst part about statistics is this: it starts off like the easiest thing, and it's like from one chapter to the next, you're like, what just happened? Okay, so don't let that what happened moment happen. Email me, and I can there's a bridge, and if I can help you across that bridge, you're gonna be just fine. Okay, so don't stress. Remember, we're looking for concept here a lot. So jumping back in, we're going to jump back into measures of center. Okay, because it is important. Okay, and like I said today, I want to get back to it because I really want you to understand these measures of center. Because while you've seen them before, they do play a fundamental role. Okay, not just in this class, but ironically, more than you realize, okay, on a day-to-day basis. Like by a show of hands, and just be honest, I'm not going to say you're cheating. How many of you have used ChatGPT or some sort of AI model right now? I know I have, okay? And if you haven't, you're a liar. Every single one of you use some sort of AI. Even if you don't realize it, you're using an AI, okay? If you've ever gotten your car, I know mine does it. It did it this morning. I got in my car and my phone automatically said, hey, are you going here? And it was willing to give me directions to here from my house. Like I didn't know how to get here, but it was also saying, hey, here's the traffic. Do you want me to take you a different way today? You know, I don't have anything turned on my phone doing that. That's an AI running in the background, constantly saying, hey, let's check on some things for you. Okay. Ironically, the start of your AI usage or learning begins in this chapter. People don't realize that. Okay, so having said that, okay, get out your calculators. Like I said, if you have them, if you don't worry about it yet. It is going to become a have to. okay? Really, just to be honest and blunt, by chapter 4, if you don't have your calculators, you're gonna be hurting a lot, okay? I'll show you the math. I can show you how to do the math and you can work it out by hand every single time and hate life, okay? Or literally it's a button, okay? The hard part is remembering the button. Remember, that's what I want to see for work. Okay, whenever you start doing some of this, they're literally gonna put down, I push this button, I put this number in, I got this answer. I'm gonna be like, sweet, you got it right. Or no, you got it wrong because you should have hit this button. But you're gonna get some partials. Okay? So once again, we're gonna get back into mean, arithmetic mean, because I say that because I want to be intentional because I'm a math teacher. There are other types of means out there. There's geometric means, hyperbolic means, all kinds of means, but in this class, it's arithmetic mean. Okay? You know what that is, okay? We're gonna deal with those most often. And ironically, I'm gonna show you some problems with mean. And then the irony, it's what we're gonna base everything off of. Okay, so I want you to remember that right here, is pen working? Okay, we will use this most often. Okay, most often. Doesn't mean we don't need about the other two. Okay, good news, mean and median, your calculator does for you. Mode, nope, doesn't, unfortunately, but we'll get to that. Now, went through this already, but it does bear remembrance, okay? I have two different types of formulas here. We have a sample mean and we have a population mean. For the very first half of this class, everything is going to be based off population. Okay, everything. Which sounds all fine and dandy, but let's be honest. As I said in the early stages of this class, if we knew the population about anything, we don't need statistics. You know, if I could find out everything I want about you, I don't need to have all these little fancy gadgets in math. That's impossible. For you, maybe easy because it's a little bit smaller of a group. But if I scaled you up to like the college or your age group as a whole, all of Hobbs, all of the students, it could get hard and costly. So no, we're going to be dealing with samples and population. Samples are going to come later. Now, once again, I always said the hardest part in this class was when all of a sudden they started saying Greek. It was like all the Greek that started happening. Okay, so let's go in here and remember that this right here, we call that X bar. You notice how that is a variable. That's something you would have seen in intermediate algebra. You would have seen that in college algebra. You've seen that everywhere, except for maybe the bar symbol. Okay. Anytime you see a variable X, okay, you're going to be looking at samples. Okay. There is only one exception to this, and I'll get to it very shortly. All of these little X's right here, okay, you can just consider that data. That's all that is. Data that we're going to add together. Okay. And then right here at the very end and copied in both of them is here's our good old friend. Anybody remember what that symbol says? Summation. Summation. What's its real name? Sigma. We're not going to call it sigma. Okay. You will see why. I promise you, especially when we get to chapter 3.2, you're going to see why. I don't want to be just saying sigma, sigma, sigma all the time, because you're going to start going, which one is he talking about? It will become obvious which one, but I don't want to muddy the water. So we're going to call this guy just the summation. But it is the capital Greek letter sigma. Okay. What is this little n? Sample. Population. Nope. Sample. It is a sample size. That's all that is. Little n, okay, remember this, little n will always be sample size. I don't care if we're in chapter 3 now and in chapter 12 later. If you see little n will always be sample. We're not going to change definitions on you halfway through. Okay. Here, Greek letter again. Mu, not moo like a cow. Mu. It's got a little bit of a Y kind of built in there, like MYU, mu. Okay. Mu is a mean as well, but it's the population mean. Here's the difference. If I took all of your ages in here, added them up and divided by a number, and I said, this is what I'm going to study, and that's it only, you are a population. Okay. But if I just took these people right here and added them up their ages, these are a sample. That's the difference. But to be honest, if you really look at it, do you see that there's really no difference in the formulas at all? Okay, they're really not. Okay, so if you can kind of remember that. Good news is your calculator is going to do this. Even if you're dealing with a population though, your calculator always signifies everything as a sample, an X bar. Okay, they don't just give you like a mu symbol and then they don't do that. Okay, so don't worry about that too much. I'll show you on your calculators. Okay. And so big N is obviously what?
Population.
Population. The number of elements in a population. Just so notice the little n, the big N, they both mean the same thing. It's just what are we kind of cordoning off? Are we bounded by so much, or are we going to go to everything in the population of what we're studying? Okay. Are we good so far? Just remember that, okay? Here's a little hint. I've already given it to you once. I gave it to you last class, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again. I'm going to sound like a broken record because if I sound like a broken record, you're going to remember it. It's like that annoying jingle, okay, that you're just going to hear in your head. Anytime you see Greek, population. When you see like the X bar, it's going to be samples, okay, and mainly X bar. Okay. Good. X bar and S. Okay, we've got another one coming up pretty soon. So I'm going to do this one just the old fashioned way. I've built in some calculator work here shortly. Okay. But right now to do this the old fashioned way, and to be honest, right now, look what it says. Considering the following data, I don't know whether that's a sample. I don't know whether that is a population. Doesn't really matter at this point, okay? Because remember, they say you do the same math no matter what, okay? So doing the math on this one, if you're gonna do this the old-fashioned way in your calculator, be very, very careful, please, okay? So remember, we're gonna have to add everything together. That's what our formula says, doesn't it? It says, hey, we're gonna add up this X1 plus this X2 plus ... plus this X to the I, and we're going to divide it by, we're just going to go and say little n. Doesn't really matter right now, right? Because they work out the same. Notice these X1, X2, so on. That's just these guys right here. There's my X1. There's my X2, okay? Remember, I'm showing you how to do mean. Every single one of you knows how to do this. This is the more mathy way of saying this is how we do a mean. Okay? When I put this in my calculator, this is how I put everything in my calculator. You would have learned this in our Dev 1 class. And if you had me, I guarantee you, because I say it in Dev 1, Dev 2, and intermediate. Anytime you're substituting a negative value into a variable, you got to surround it with parentheses. Every time. Okay? So notice how I put this in my calculator. I come in here and go, well, -7 plus 6 plus -6 plus 5 plus -5 plus -11, all divided by the number of elements that I've added together. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Divide everything by 6. When I pop that into my calculator, okay, if I was doing this in my calculator, I would probably do the top, hit enter, then hit divide, okay? But y'all know how to work calculators. You've made it to this class, you've probably got some calculator experience now. Get -3, okay? Like I said, I will show you how to do this again on your calculator. I did the other day, I taught you through it. So I'll be showing you visually here shortly. Okay, one, I built in some PowerPoints or some stuff on the PDF, but I'm actually going to turn on the DocCam and show you how to do it. Okay, this function I'm going to show you how to do on your calculator is going to be so powerful. Okay, that's pretty much the only, you're gonna use it a lot, okay? We're good with that so far. I mean, pretty straightforward, right? I mean, it's not too terribly difficult on this one. I did bad math. I don't even know how I got there because I used my calculator. I must have put in like a wrong value, but I'm not gonna go back in and do the whole process of changing a number. But I can just go, I think even on your notes, I did this. I'll put, oops. There you go. Okay. In my intermediate class nowadays, because I don't doctor out the mistakes, I give extra credit for people who find mistakes. So I'm not doing that to you. I don't like y'all's bunch. No, I'm just joking. I saw it looks there like, oh, no. Can't tell people you're gonna do it. They have to just come tell you. Okay, if I tell you, then it kind of defeats the purpose. And then everybody's gonna, then they'll find a lot of mistakes. Trust me, I'm a fallible human being. Notice once again, we have another formula here. It's X bar. It's just weighted mean, okay? Ironically, once again, this is something that if you wanna, you can say, oh, great. I can use this to calculate my grades. Well, yeah, but we also have Canvas and LMS systems. But this is how they work in the background. It's very simple. You get a grade. Like notice on this was the what I had on my syllabus last semester. Your homework and discussions were worth 10%. Take all those grades, average them together. Take all the grades of your chapter tests, average them together. Same things with everything else, the project, final, and midterm. Then what you do is every single one of those things has a weight to it, a weight ascribed. Notice in my homework, it was 10%. So this student here on their homework and discussions got 100%. I weighted it at 10%. That's why I put the 0.1, okay? We're going to be going between percents and decimals, so hopefully you kind of remember that, okay? Remember to go to a percent, you multiply by 100, to go to decimal, you divide by 100, okay? Because percents are based off 100%, okay? Notice you add all these up, okay? So once again, you're just doing a mean, right? Now in your homework, it may give you a variable in there. It may say, hey, you know, so-and-so wants to make a 70, so you're gonna have to make that thing equal to 70, and you're missing, what do they gotta make on their final, or something like that. So you put in an X, solve for X, okay? But this is how you would do the weighted mean. Now, and that unfortunately, you're probably gonna have to do by hand a little bit because you're gonna be doing some algebraic manipulation, pretty straightforward. This is another one I'll show you how to do on your calculator, which makes it super quick, okay? But does that make sense how that's working? So whenever you're trying to find a grade in Canvas, this is all that's happening. Have any of y'all ever gone to Canvas yet and start playing with your grade? You're like, what's the lowest I can get on this final and still pass this class? We've all done that. Okay, you're no better than me. I did it. I still do it. Okay, what is the lowest I can make and still pass? Okay. For some of you, and I always tell students, I go, if it's over 100, you might want to start rethinking things. Okay, but so ironically though, I brought up ChatGPT because as I want to say, I always like to make a connection between this class because this is, to me, statistics is fun for this reason. I'm gonna be honest, I love teaching algebra. I think it's an art form, you know, I really do. I think it's an art moving variables around and trying to solve stuff. But unless I'm teaching, I promise you this, I've never used a quadratic formula. Not one time, ever. I've wanted to, man, I'm always looking. Man, I go on vacation hoping to use a quadratic formula somewhere, just so I can finally tell somebody, I did it, I used it. This is where, and I can sit back, I can't. Not happened yet, okay? I mean, unless I force it, but I want you to just come organically. But every day I'm using weighted means. Every time you turn on your phone, it's using a weighted mean. Every time you fire up ChatGPT, believe it or not, all ChatGPT is this. It says, you ask it a question. How am I going to pass this statistics class? That's literally what you ask it. Because you can ask it anything, right? I mean, I've had full-fledged conversations with the thing. Okay, I have with y'all's little AI that y'all have in Hawk. We did it in our Dev 2 class last semester. I've just asked it questions. We started having a conversation with it. It runs off weighted means. It doesn't know what it's telling you. It has no more conscience than like this podium. It doesn't know what it's saying. It's basing everything off a weight. And that weight, it says, when it says the, it says, what's the probability of this next word? And then it runs through billion different computations and it gives you the next word. And then runs through a billion again, and gives you the next word, all of them based on weights. Okay, so it is very interesting to know that what you're learning today does have ramifications for way in the future. Yeah, it's some pretty high level math and computer science, but this is day one of it right here. So we're good with weighted means. Like I said, you may be looking at it going, man, that's a pretty ugly formula again. Don't worry about it. Okay, because all it's saying is, hey, take that data that you have, multiply it by the weight, and then what? Add it. Isn't that what's happening right here? I got data. I got my X1 times my W1. That's my data. That's my weight. I do the math. Then I do it again and add it. Then I do it again and add it. Then I do it again and add it. Okay? That's what that summation notation is saying. Okay? Now, this is obviously 100%. It doesn't have to be. It can be any way you want. Okay? Now, for us in grades, let's be honest, it's always going to be based off 100%. Okay? Good so far. Haven't lost anybody yet, right? I mean, really, we're doing like basic math level math right here. You're just seeing it at a different level. Okay? Median. Okay? Median. Procedure. I'm going to read the procedure. And then I want you to realize this word in your head, in the back of my head. My calculator does it. Okay? I'll show you shortly. List the data in ascending or descending order, making an ordered array. Remember that when I showed you that, making ordered arrays in 2-1? Okay? If the data set contains an odd number of values, the median is the middle value of the ordered array. If the data set contains even number of values, the median is the arithmetic mean, which you just learned, of the two middle values in the ordered array. Note this implies that the median may not be a value in the data set. Well, that's a lot of words salad. Let's take a look at it. What does that actually mean? Notice here, I have some data. Okay? This data here, this, not in order. Which is fine. It's a small data set, right? Very, very small. That's okay. Once again, what's the problem with that? What could happen?
Data set.
You get large. Like that right there, if I said, hey, can you put that in order? Yeah, that's literally like, middle school, elementary school 101. Like, can you put the numbers in order? Yes. What if I gave you 100 numbers? You could, but it's going to get annoying, isn't it? You're going to be like, bro, it took me an hour to put these numbers together for a 2-minute question. Okay. That's where problems come in. So I'm going to put them in order. Now, if you were going to have to do a large data set, use Excel, use some sort of program that'll do it for you. They'll filter that. I say that because I always want you to realize we are a computer driven world. Okay. So learning these little small things will help you out. So here I put my data in order. It looks nice. I know my smallest number. I know my largest number. Okay. Well, let's look at the first one. Using our simple integer counting skills, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have an odd. Being that this is odd, it says what? I need to find the middle number. What does that mean? Well, if I know the middle number, okay, what is half of 7? Well, I'm going to get a decimal, but I don't have to do that because look, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. What's my middle number? There's your median. That's why when you have odd numbers, you like it. Okay. So my median is equal to 6. Do it again. Obviously, you can tell by the next one we added 1, so we've got 8 here. Okay, so this one's going to be even. Well, here's the problem. And I'm going to count these on both ways. Notice here, if I go here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, uh-oh. That's what it's talking about. Notice there's really no dead even number here. So what it's saying is this, literally. Notice I can come here and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But then I've got these two middle numbers. And those are the two you're gonna take the mean of. You just literally just come in here and go, okay, well, I've got 8 plus 7, right? Which is gonna end up being what?
7.5.
Well, what's 8 plus 7?
Oh, no.
15 divided by 2, and you're right, it's gonna be 7.5. Notice what it said. It said, okay, at the very end on the even one, this value may not be in your data set. Do you see a 7.5 in there? No. That's what that means. That value might not be in there. Why does that matter? For you, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest, right now, for you in this class, doesn't matter per se. In the scheme of things, yes, it matters because that's once again being transparent about your data. Okay? You're gonna see some, when I get done with the mathy section of this, you're gonna see the pluses and minuses of these. You're gonna have a very good argument of why your grades are kind of misleading. Okay, very quickly, hopefully very soon. And then mode, the one that's annoying to me, at least in this lesson, you won't do it a lot. And you wanna know why it's annoying? Your calculator doesn't do it. Okay, so that's why I get kind of annoyed at it. So notice I did this study, the number of selfies the average student takes per hour in the bathroom. Okay, which I always found weird. Why do people take selfies in the bathroom? Because what do people do in bathrooms? So you're kind of like, for people that are like, oh, I just dropped a deuce and now I'm taking a picture. That's kind of what you're saying. I'm here, I did my business, and I'm gonna immortalize it forever. So think about that next time you put a bathroom selfie. I think that every time I see somebody, man or woman, take a bathroom selfie, I'm like, did you pee or poop? And then grab your phone and take a selfie. Every time. So notice, is the data in order? No. And unfortunately, well, okay, I'm gonna lie to you. You don't have to get it in order. You don't have to. Small numbers, small data sets. This is super small, right? Super easy, okay? Most of your homework, super easy-ish. Like I think the most of the homework, and even on your midterm, I think the most, it's gonna be about 20 data points, okay? But finding the mode is literally what number, what data, what piece of data happens the most. You all do this. I'm gonna use Amazon. What do you think stars are? That's a mode. Okay, they didn't take an average of the stars. They said, hey, 8,000 people rated this thing 5 stars. That's a mode. Okay, 2,000 people rated this thing 2 stars. Okay, so you look at modes a lot. Okay, now on this first one, okay, if you kind of look at it, notice again it's not in order. I'll go ahead and get it in order. The reason I get it in order is it does make it easy to read, because look at it. In the data set A, what number happens the most? 7, exactly, 7. We can see 7 happens the most. So the mode for this one is equal to 7. So that's it. Also, is there any number that happens more than 7 or equal to 7? No. So this thing is what we would call unimodal, one mode. Okay, so one mode is equal to unimodal. I say that because your homework's going to ask you, and I might just ask you on a midterm. How many modes does this have? 1 or 2 or 3. You can have 10. Now, so how is that possible? Is it possible to go on Amazon today and find a rating that has, like, say, 502 stars exactly and 505 stars exactly? It is possible, okay? Those would be something that would have 2 modes, i.e., look at the second number set. It has 2 modes. We have 2 and we have 7. So that's what we would call, when you put down the modes, you wouldn't just put 1, you'd put the mode is equal to 2 and 7. This will be Bimodal means two, okay? Two modes is equal to bimodal. Any questions so far? So far, so good, right? Not too bad. Okay. Let's show you a picture of a calculator. And then I'm gonna do it on a calculator. Okay? Your calculator will calculate your mean, your weighted mean, and your median. Okay? Now, the hard part, slow down. You put in the stuff too fast, remember what I said last class. You're not gonna get pretty numbers anymore. Okay, maybe right now you might get some -3s like you did earlier, some pretty numbers like that. But overall, this class is built on some really ugly decimals all over the place. Okay, and that shouldn't scare you. You, like I said, you've already made it through some college algebra. But what I do want to say is this: be careful when you're putting in your data. Okay, because if you're not, it's really hard to have an intuitive sense on what your number is supposed to look like. Okay, some sort of a numeracy about it. Okay, so I always kind of do things twice. It's so quick to do it on your calculator. Why not do it twice to go and kind of give you that little double check? Okay, better safe than sorry. Okay, once again, you don't have to do this. Okay, I put these in order. By the way, remember this thing right here for today. Okay, this is valid for TI 83 and TI 84 calculators. And please, if for some reason you're ever having trouble with calculator word, the best time to reach out is now. Like if you're not figuring something out, man, let me know. If you're good with your calculator, man, y'all got to become team players. This goes for everybody everywhere. Okay, if you're getting it and your friend isn't, man, show them this is what I did. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Trust me. Okay. And then worst case scenario, if we can't figure it out, man, I will help you Google stuff and we'll figure it out together to find out why is your calculator not doing something. Sometimes it's a mode. If you kind of look at it very carefully, if your calculator has a mode button, sometimes it's just the mode it's in. Okay, then we just need to change over. Okay, that's usually 9 times out of 10, that's the problem. It's just a mode. Okay, so I've got this data set here. Okay, here we are right there. All those numbers, arbitrary numbers that I just kind of threw together. Okay, and like I said, I'm gonna scroll. I put them in order. The reason I put them in order, for one, I know that one thing my calculator doesn't do is the mode. Okay, so at least having them in order, if it asks me for the mode in my homework, I can go, I got the mode, that's done. Here we go, we can put that in. But everything else, like I said, it's strictly just putting in your calculator and remembering how to get there. Okay, I'm gonna give you a formula sheet for your final. Your midterm, you don't get a formula sheet because there's basically not a lot of formulas. Okay, by the final, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of formulas. You get a formula sheet that goes for everybody. Here and in the Zoom areas, I'll be sending out forms or sending out formulas. But you still got to know which one to use. I don't tell you which one to use. And a lot of those formulas, you're going to look at and go, my calculator does that. Okay. But you're going to have to know how to get to it. Okay. Get to that part in the calculator. So here I've got everything done. If we had to pick a mode right now, what would be my mode? 80. Yeah. How many modes does it have? One. What if, I'm going to erase it after I do this. Let's get rid of that guy right there. Here before I ask. Okay, now what's the mode? You notice there's nothing that happens the most. You can have no mode. Okay, that is very, very possible. Okay, so that's what that means. I'll erase that now. We're going to not change our data, but I want to show you that so that way, just in case, when you see it, not if you see it, when you see that on your homework, you can go, you can show us that. Okay, well now I have. Okay, So you can have no mode, and that's just when no piece of data happens the most. Notice I'm not saying numbers. This is a math class. This is data. I want you to keep that in your mind. This is data. We use numbers. All these numbers are representative of something. These aren't, I get it, they're arbitrary, but I could make those up. I could say average retirement age. There it is. Okay, whatever I want. Yeah, there'd be a 42 in there. I have heard of people retiring at 42. I will not be one of those. Okay, but it is possible. So notice I put those in order. Now, to calculate your weighted mean and your median using this day and your weighted mean. Weighted mean, I'm going to have to kind of go on here and kind of write a little extra part on here, but I will show you, okay, live so you can see it. Go to your stat, hit your edit button. Enter the values into L1. For weighted mean, input weights into L2. That means, now be careful. Okay, when I say that, I'm gonna bring up something. Remember my little homework example? Okay, so notice you're gonna have an L1, a line, and an L2. This is for weighted mean. Okay, so notice that if I go back, if I scroll all the way back up, you had one where the homework, it averaged together at a 100. Next to it in L2, really right across from it, the weight for that one would have been a 0.1. So you just need to make sure for your weights, that's how you'd put in. Make sure they match up. You can't just put them in. You have to put them in order, okay, like that. And you would do that, so on and so forth, all the way down, forever how many weights you have, whatever. If you're just dealing with a mean and not a weighted mean, then you don't have to worry about your L2. Everybody good there? Help a neighbor. If they're not getting it, help them. If your neighbor doesn't have a calculator, it might be nice to show them and go, look, let me do it on mine. So that way you can help them out, okay? Once you've got everything listed, you're gonna hit stat. You can do it straight from that button. You don't have to get out. Just go hit your stat button again. And then notice you're gonna hit calculate. We, in this class, I've said this before, we will always use one variable stats. What that means is this is a single variable statistics class, okay? We don't use more than that, okay? In upper level statistics classes, you'll start having other variables, X, Y, Z, they'll go, I mean, just a whole bunch, okay? Once again, bringing up like ChatGPT and AI models, they use more than one variable. I think ChatGPT is up to 16 trillion variables per second that it's using, okay? For some calculators, you have to scroll and hit calculate again, okay? Some you don't, just depends. Depends on your T83, T84, T84 plus, whatever. When you do that, there you go. That's what you should have got. Did everybody get that on your calculator? Okay, look very carefully. Look at the symbol. You should recognize, I get it. There's a whole bunch of funky symbols on there. We're gonna use every single one of them eventually. But right now, one should be staring you in the face. Which one is it? Huh?
X bar?
X bar, exactly. There it is, right there. There, that would be your mean. Okay. Now, there's some other things on there that we don't have to worry about right now, but if you scroll down using your arrow button, do you see MED? And look at that. There's your median. By you putting in data once into your calculator, one time, it gave you two answers. It gave you your mean that you're gonna need, it gave you your median, okay? So really, if you're honest with yourself, the hardest part so far is just going, what? put the data in correctly. But here's the nice part. Let's say you didn't. You can go back to that list function, scroll up, change a number. You can always go back. You don't have to redo the whole thing. You can go back in and edit it anytime you need to. Very quickly, just so you know how to do it. If you scroll up, like when you go to your list function, if you highlight the L1, okay, first off, if you delete it by accident, okay, just Google it. There's a way to put it back in. It's real easy, okay? But there's a clear button. Okay, I'll show you where that's at. That clears all the data in that one if you need to use it, okay? I think you actually showed me that, didn't you? Yeah. So, yeah, I've never used it. I just hit delete all. There's a, but whatever. If you have a lot of data, that clear button, because instead of having to go delete and have it scroll up, helps out a little bit, okay? Are we good so far? Can you find, did everybody find at least see how to do it more or less? Don't be shy right now. If you're lost right now, go, man, I don't know how you got there. Okay? Let me know. Okay. Well, notice, did it give us a median? Yes. Our median is 79.5. Did it give us a mean? What's the mean? Exactly. Start using X bar. Instead of saying mean right now, say X bar. Okay, so my X bar is 75.25. And then our mode is what? The mode we actually have to go in and look at though, don't we? Okay, so what is it?
80.
80, exactly. And it is just a one mode. You can say it, as my daughter would call it, unimodal or unimodal, however you want to say it. She likes unicorn, so it's however you want to say it. Looking at it, there's everything we just calculated. Let me blow it up a little bit. What do you notice? And I really want you to think about this. I want you to talk to me. What do you notice about that?
Skewed left.
Can you see where it's skewed? Why? What skewed it?
The 42.
Yeah, look at this right here. Look at that guy right there. What's an example of some means that you use in your life right now? You want to pass? How do you pass? Aren't your grades a mean? Your grades are a mean. Now, pick on her since she's the one who's brave enough to answer. She makes all 90s on everything. Everything. All 90s. That's a good job, right? Then all of a sudden, it's the day before finals. And her hamster dies. She goes home and her hamster hung itself. It's like, I can't live this way anymore. You keep me in this cage. You stare at me. We may be running this wheel and I just can't deal with this anymore. So it fashions together, a little hay noose and just hangs itself. She comes home. It's very sad. So she takes her final and she bombs it. Okay. Then afterwards, she sends me an email, says, Professor Clark, I'm sorry, my hamster killed itself. I'm like, well, that sucks to suck. Welcome, Sanj. That's the email I can get back. But her grade went from an average of a 90 to, she still passes the class, but there went her exemplary grade. Now she's got like, say, just a 70. Does she know a lot about statistics? What would you say? Would you say that she knows a lot? Would you say that she could be someone you could come talk to about statistics in this class? If you knew all her grades. I hope to say yes, but here's the problem. You won't. She's got a 70. Okay? Because that one thing, that one outlier did what? Took her grade and did what? Hold it. Now I'm gonna pick on her. She makes 50s on everything. All semester long, she's rocking along at 50. But then she gets with you and you tutor her just well enough that somehow she pulls off 100 on her final. And she's got an 80. Who do you think is better at statistics? Who do you think is better at statistics if you just saw their grades? Notice what a mean does. Notice what an outlier does. So that's what I'm kind of saying, like, you'll kind of you'll start trying to not trust your grades as much. Because sometimes, and I've said it before in every class, if there was a way we could judge you without grading you, we would. Unfortunately, there's not. Because if you notice, do grades really say how well you are at something? No. This should be a proof now. Look, if these were grades, okay, the student did pretty good. But then, man, that one bad grade, that one bad day, that one lesson they didn't understand, that 42, what did it do to their grade? It dropped them to a what? A 75. Well, that doesn't sound bad, does it? But what if they really needed that B for that GPA, for that scholarship, for whatever, okay? So that's what happens. That's how come things are really affected by outliers. Okay, an outlier will pull really hard on the mean. Why does that matter? Well, let's use mean. If the boss of my area says, Professor Clark, been looking at your grades, how well your students doing? And let's say out of all 200 of my students, 190 of them have got great grades, they're doing great. But then 10 have sloughed off and they make zeros or really low grades. Well, let's say my average student average of 80, which just sounds really good, drops down to like say a 69. Is that really representative of what type of teacher I am if I'm going off a mean? No. I'm saying this for a reason. Now, it would be a lot better to say, hey, let's look at my median. Because notice the median, man, it's pretty close to the mode, isn't it? That's going to be a lot more representative. Okay. Saying that to hopefully help you kind of remember some of this, because this is really important, okay? Means are really affected by outliers, okay? Really, really bad, okay? And so we get this. You have to use appropriate measures for whatever you're deciding to use. So notice here it says for qualitative data. Qualitative is what type of data? Use the word qualitative. You just did, was it? Quality. So can I do math? No. Think of it like this. It'd be like, we've all heard it. You'll have like some, and I think I literally heard one this morning because I'm still one of those weird people that listens to the actual radio. Okay. It was a hospital and they were bragging about, we have an average happiness rating of some, I forget it. They didn't use happiness, but they used kind of a word like that. Happiness rating of this. Notice what they just said. Average, that's math. You just learned it. Well, what does that mean? Average what? How are they doing an average of something? Okay. That makes sense? You can't do that. For qualitative data, averages, happiness ratings, like, okay, my happy and you're happy, how are we going to judge this? There's no way to quantify that, is there? Because everybody's level of happiness is different, okay? So notice them saying qualitative data, the mode should be used. Now, that hospital should have said, we have the most happy ratings out of any other hospital. Then that, I'd be like, oh, that sounds truthful now, because now you're saying that's a mode answer, okay? For quantitative data, quantity, notice we can do math to that kind of stuff, okay? The mean should be used except when? Was that? Yeah, no outliers. And yeah, you can tell, trust me, you start doing your data, even if you put your data into Excel, Excel will tell you, hey, there's an outlier. Here it is, okay? There's mathematical equations we can use to find outliers. We're not going to do those in this class. And then also quantitative data, quantities again, data sets that are skewed or contain outliers, the median should be used. So we have 3 different levels of measurement of center. that you can say the right thing. If you're doing some sort of like Amazon rating, hey, guess what? Use mode. Okay, you're not gonna say, well, this thing have as an average. How many of y'all heard that? We have an average Amazon rating of. That should tell you right now, that should mean nothing to you from this day on. When they start saying average, mean, rating, why are you taking averages as something that should be a mode? Because great, you have an average rating of 5 stars. What if your real rating is 3 stars, but there's an outlier of 100 and it pulled you over a little bit? See how that kind of works? Okay. Good on that? Now, let me go back up, let's go back up to this data right here. If you'll permit me, I'm going to go through and I will use my calculator. And I'll do this one and then I'm gonna go back up, but I'm gonna have to you're not gonna be able to see my screen. So I'm just gonna be putting in data, okay? But I'm gonna work my calculator so you have a chance to see it. And it will also be recorded for the lecture, so you can go back and I'll put a timestamp to it as well. So you can go back and go, what did he do again? Okay, there it is, okay? So let's come in here.
Oh, we declare it?
Give me just 2 seconds here. It takes just a second or two.
You don't have one
Stop sharing, and then we're gonna share this.
though? I go to the.
Let's see. Yes, there we are. There's my calculator.
I go to.
I'm seeing somebody else use one of mine down here and you're gonna love it. Trust me. First off, it's in color. Dude, I nerded out. When my dean said I could go get this calculator, dude, I skipped. I was like, It was like that Frodo, like we were going on an adventure. I was going to the bookstore. I was so happy to go buy this calculator, man. So, all right, I'm gonna do the calculation of the mean, median first, okay, of just what we just saw. Okay, so notice, first off, let's put on some glasses. Come in here, once again, I'm gonna hit stat, enter, notice I have no data. 42, enter. 77, enter, 78, enter. 79, enter. 80, 80, 82, 84. Okay, then I go back to stat here. Always one var stat, always. Okay. Hit enter. Notice, okay, I want you to realize, see that little frequent list button? Can y'all kind of see that up there? You will be using that, okay, but just always remember that if you have something in there, you're gonna need to erase it. Okay, so I have messed up stuff because I forget to erase a data set that's in it. Come down here, hit calculate, and then there we go. You got the same thing as I did. Good? Okay. So whenever I go back and look at the grades very quickly, here's how the grades work. Now, I didn't show you this one. This one I'm going to show you. It's pretty cool. Okay. Go back to stat, edit. Notice I'm going to click up. That highlights the L1. I hit clear, this button right here, hit clear, hit enter, it cleared all my data. Okay. Good so far. Okay. So I'm going to put in the grades. Now, you still got to average the grades. Okay. So I've got 100, 81, 43, and 52. Now I'm going to scoot over and start there. Assign each weight to the appropriate spot. Okay. And it has to be in decimal form. 0.1, 0.15, 0.25, 0.5. Enter. So far, so good. This is for weighted mean. Okay. Go back to stat. Go to calculate. Here's where it's different. I'm using more than one list now. Okay. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to hit the second key. Second's like the shift key. Okay. Let's look at your number 1 and 2 here. You see how if you hit shift, see this little L2, L1 above your 1 and 2? I'm going to hit L2. Scroll back down here. Go down, hit enter, and there you go. Look at my X bar. It did that for me. Okay. Another thing you can do, I'm gonna show you, I'm not gonna do it right now, but you can also do this. This calculator is very, very powerful, i.e. It's why we didn't let you use it in intermediate and college algebra. Okay, you can program these things to do the quadratic formula for you. Yeah, you're sitting there going, what? I didn't have to factor? Yeah. Yeah, but watch this. You can also do this. Notice how I just highlighted that? Watch what I can do. I'm gonna kind of scroll up here just real quick. I'm going to hit second L1 times second L2. Hit enter. It literally just added up everything for me. It did the math. It said, hey, I'm gonna take L1 and multiply it to L2, and then I'm gonna give it to you some new data in L3 for you. Okay, that's why these calculators are very, very powerful, but they're great, okay? Are we good there? So far, so good? All right. One second, we'll click back.
So can you do that one more time?
Which one?
What you just did.
That one right there, don't worry about that last part, okay? That little thing, I'll show that again. I would more worry about the frequent list thing, okay? Don't freak out on that one. That's sort of like a little, that's sort of like a little bonus, like me tossing you a Tootsie Roll or something like that, okay? I'll show it again later, but don't be like, oh no, what did you show? You'll be fine, okay? Are we good so far on that? Okay, let's look at some stuff real quick here. Notice. Oh, I gotta go all the way back. Okay, we scrolled all the way back. Let's go all the way back to, okay, here we are. The mode is the data at which has the highest peak. Okay? The median is the number that divides the area of the distribution in half, and the mean of the distribution will always be pulled toward the outlier. You should know that by now, right? You saw that numerically. Your mean is gonna get pulled, okay? So it's gonna look something like this, if you have it. Let's have some data that looks like this. I got here, here, and here. Notice it's saying mode is my highest. Median is always my middle. And mean is always getting pulled to some sort of outlier that's over there somewhere. Make sense? So look at this. This right here would be symmetrical. The basis of everything, you're gonna get used to seeing this guy right here, this type of distribution, okay? But for right now, what is that? Skewed to the what? Right. That's where people mess up. People want to skew it toward the top. It's always skewed toward the trough. Think about it. It's getting pulled toward the outlier. Okay. So somewhere over here, okay, there's an outlier pulling this data. Okay. So this is skewed to the right. Okay. So what's my A? Remember, always the highest. B, what? Very good. C is your, what's that? Mean. Notice though, on this one here, when you have something that's symmetrical, your mean, your median, and your mode, all the same. Okay, they're all gonna be the same. They're all gonna be right there, okay? What's this guy? Skewed to the left. It's skewed to the trough, okay? Why is it skewed to the left? Because somewhere over there, there's something pulling on it. Something happened. Look, here's all your 90s. And then there's where she made a 40. Think of it that way, right? It pulled that grade. So notice everything was good until that happened. Okay, so your C is going to be what? Mode, exactly. B, A, good on that one? And here we'll do some homework. Notice you got a lot of data. Now I'm gonna gift you something because I am a benevolent and loving statistics teacher, and we just don't want to spend a lot of time, but I'm gonna give you the mode. The mode of this guy is 47. But I want you to take 1 minute and give me the mean and the median. Because if you use your calculator, that's about how long it takes to put your information, all that information carefully into your calculator, and then just hit your calculation button. And then we'll do the answer. As you're doing that, I'll say, remember, if you don't have your calculator yet, you can always use a regular calculator. You would just add up everything. And then for this, notice we've got an area of 4 times 5, so that's 25 data points. So you would divide by 25 to get the mean. Now, the annoying part is gonna be what? For that median, what are you gonna have to do? Man, list out everything and then find that middle number, okay? Or go home and use Excel, write everything, and then go to your filter button and go from least to greatest, or whatever. Also, Excel does have I think they call it, they use the number key, I know, hashtag. Saying that word. But you put that in, I think it's the MED function in there. When someone gets an answer, just blurt it out. Give me the mean first. Realize what it's saying. Now be careful how you write it because you're gonna get some annoying, in this class, here's what's gonna happen. Annoying red bars. Why do you think you're gonna get annoying red bars? It's gonna be those roundings. It's gonna be rounding it to certain things because things have rules in this class. You're gonna have to round to certain things. That's how come I highlighted that one part. Look what it says. Round to one more decimal place than the largest number of decimal places given in the data. Notice our data is in the ones place. That's where it starts, right? That's where it is, right? So if I had to go over one more, that's the 10th place. So you're gonna round to the nearest 10th. Okay? So knowing that you're gonna round to the nearest 10th, you have to look at what number? The 100th place to round to the nearest 10th. So you see how the annoying red bars are gonna start happening for you real quickly? So. Anybody got me a mean? 40 point what? 9, exactly. Not 8.5. That's a red bar. 9 is, notice you were right, but Hawks is gonna go, it may give you a blue bar, probably a red bar though. Okay, so yes. 40.9. Well, what's nice about your calculator? Do you have to redo everything again, or do you already have a median already staring you in the face? What's your median number? 40. There you go. Literally, the hardest part about this one was now doing the mode. Okay, of going in there and just like, okay, like I would literally go, when I was doing this, I'd go, okay, 47. I would scratch it out and look anywhere for a 47, but I made a little list. Like I say, okay, 47. Well, I can see that it happened once. I'd scroll up and I started tallying. Okay, that's how I did the mode. I just tallied up and see who was the most after I got done. Okay, so it's however you want to do it. If someone figures out how to do mode on these TI 83, 84, I think I Googled it right before classes started again. And I think Google still came back with, unfortunately, no, it does not do that. I'm like, why? Yeah, why not that? Out of everything, that's what it can't do? Dude, you'll give me the quadratic formula, but you can't tally up, you know? So. Y'all saw that. Yeah, you probably did. With this right here, for the following data set, would you be more interested in looking at the mean, median, or mode? State your reasoning. The rating of professors on a scale from 1 to 5, being the worst or being the best. Why?
It's qualitative data.
Qualitative, like more than likely, going up probabilities, she thinks I'm the best professor out here. Right. You want a pass, right? Good job. Good job. Give me a high five on that. Yeah, she didn't just give me a 5, she gave me a 10. Someone thinks I'm the meanest. Right. Go ahead, say it. But notice that, but to be honest, what constitutes the best? Your idea of best and your idea of best, you can't really quantify that, okay? Because, I mean, let's face it, you can have debates over that. So she's right, it's mode. So knowing it's mode, what type of data, okay, how would we want to represent it? Would mean be okay? No. Just think about it. If you're using mean, think about it. That's like going with Amazon stars again. Think about it that way. Amazon stars really mean nothing per se because my 5-star doesn't mean the same as your 5-star. So what would we want to rate this as? Qualitative. So look at it. So there you go. And that's how that would be done. Is everything good so far? You got videos now. Raise your hand if you don't have your calculator yet. Or you don't have your calculator, but you'll get one, right? Have you gone to do you know that the tutoring center has calculator box that you can borrow? They're gonna want them back. Are they out?
No, I was glad to put, the first one.
Yeah, then I was wrong. That's probably one of those I did really, really quick. What's it? So very good. Any questions moving forward? Next class, we're gonna start 3-2. We may get through this. Slow down. You're gonna go, miss this. We're gonna get ahead. Chapter 4 is a doozy. Okay, this is the reasoning for me getting ahead right now. Okay, I'm not arbitrarily getting ahead just to do it. Chapter 4 can be a little rough. Not bad. It can be a little hard to wrap your head around because it deals with everything with probability. Like rolling dice, what's the probability of this? But then we start getting into what's the probability of this happening if this has already happened first. Okay, so I want us to make sure that we can go through that nice and slow. Okay, so that we have plenty of time to kind of think about it, digest it, and move forward. Okay, all right, guys, I'll see you all on Thursday.